You can always subscribe, and it's still free for 3 minutes every day, but you can become a member, and we're going to be putting out longer debates, more in-depth debates, because gosh knows we need them these days, because no one knows what's coming out of Ottawa except for Brian Lilley with the Toronto Sun. He has the best information of everybody. You wrote a column, you wrote the headlines with Travis Dhanraj, and he was a CBC anchor. You were on his show, I was on his show. When we were on together, I think that some of the management of the CBC had a problem with that because they didn't like some controversy. They hired him and said, you can have good discussion, which is why you and I were on together a few times. And now he resigned, he was fired, and now they're saying he's not fired. What about the impact on the CBC about this?
There's a lot of questions about their journalism because here's a guy who was recruited to go work at CBC. Yep. And they put him right up on Parliament Hill. You're going to cover the Hill for us. You're going to cover all the big important stories. Then they say, you're doing great. We want you on Marketplace, their consumer affairs show that's, still has a decent sized audience for CBC. Then they're like, you know what? We're going to build a 2-hour primetime show around you with your name in it. And you don't get that from TV folks unless they're serious about investing in you.
And they promised him that he could have controversy and good analysis.
When he called me before the show aired and started and said, I'm going to have you on, I laughed and said, they'll never let you have me on. He got me on, which was remarkable. I said, if you can get me on, fine, I'll come on CBC. And he brought on all kinds of people, left, right, center, people that didn't fit neat, tidy boxes. And that's what annoyed them. But what really annoyed the folks in Ottawa, he made an allusion to that in his resignation letter, certain journalists in Ottawa. Read that to be David Cochrane of Power and Politics and Rosemary Barton. They started, according to the letter, blocking him from getting key guests because the federal Conservatives at that point had a boycott on those shows because they were so pro-Trudeau.
Right.
But they would go on and talk with Dhanraj, and that really pissed them off in Ottawa. So there was a lot of interference from them on his show, a lot of problems. Now he's gone. But yeah, he resigned, and they said, oh no, you're still an employee.
I know, it's ridiculous. But so that's going to be one issue that'll still to be resolved. But what about the impact on the CBC? The Tories said, well, we're going to cut it. What should happen to the CBC? It stinks.
It's not going to be defunded, as Pierre Poilievre. So Poilievre never said he'd shut it down. He said, I'll stop funding English CBC. That's not going to happen under the Carney government. They're going to give them more money. Okay, if it's going to be there, at least reform it. It has gone so far off the rails. First off, they're not producing products that people want to watch. Secondly, the political bias is intense.
So we need some solid journalists and keep the mucky-mucks out of it?
Yeah, let them practice journalism and not advocacy, not repeating talking points from the PMO and calling it power and politics.
That's what it is. Brian Lilley, you're always telling the truth. Thank you very much. 3 minutes. To those of you who have subscribed and donated, a heartfelt thank you. You're keeping us on the air. If you're watching and you haven't, please try to do so, because 4 years ago, we started this show because there needed to be independent analysis. Now more than ever, with the Online Harms Act. Once that gets into law, it's been passed once by the House, there are going to be hundreds of bureaucrats censoring the news in Canada, censoring this show. We need to keep it on the air. Thanks for your support.